We're starting with a general layout, just with a cube, the very first thing that you open up. We're in object mode and we're going to extend it, so we need to go into edit mode and select the face select tool. Now we're going to tip it forward just a little bit so we can click the top of the face. Now go back to number pad 1 and look at the front orthographic view. We go G, Z, and we lift it up to roughly these proportions. Now we're going to add some loop cuts using Control plus R. Now you click once and then the little arrows come up. Now we two-finger tap or right button click to get out of it. And then we can add the more loop cuts with the side menu down the bottom here. Roughly 15 will do. It's not really important on this project because this is just trying to teach you how to animate. When you click off and they're not selected, you can see the lines that you've put in, or the cuts you've put in very easily. We're in front view, and we're going to select all with the letter A on your keypad, and GZ, we're going to lift it up so that it's sitting on the line on the origin. To do this, we have changed the position of the origin of the object. It's a little yellow dot that you see when you're in object mode. Okay, we're in object mode. We've tabbed into object mode. Now we're going to add the armature. It's just a single bone, and it will be at the bottom of your prism where the origin is, but you can't see it. So we need to continue across till we find the armature properties. It's the little running man, the little green running man here. We click on that and we go to a viewport display and we select in front. Now the bone that we've added will be in front of the prism, and here you can see it now. Tab into edit mode. Now we can click on the top of the bone. I'm just going to extend this, make it a little bit bigger with a GZ. G then Z. That's just made it a little bit bigger. You don't have to, that's just my sense of proportion. Now we go E then Z, E again, E then Z to make the extra bones. E then Z. Okay, we've put the top bone sticking out the top just a fraction, just a little bit. We can now go into tab into object mode, and as you can see now, even though it's in the middle of the prism, you can move it around. Now we select the prism itself, then select the armature, shift click. Okay, now we've got the two items selected. We can join them together with what they call parenting. Control plus P will give us the parenting menu, and we want the one with automatic weights. Once you've clicked the automatic weights, the bone should move the prism. So we'll click out of the selection, just click on the background. Then we will click on the armature. We've selected the bones. Now we can go to pose mode. In pose mode, and just make sure you've only got the armature clicked when you go into pose mode. Now we need the timeline for the pose mode, so we'll lift it up from the bottom. But if it's not there, you move over to the corner and there's a little cross will appear. You can drag it up with that. That will lift a new window. If you've got too many windows, get that same cross and drag it down over the top. The window we want, of course, is the timeline. We just make sure that we've got the timeline there. Now we can select all our bones because we want a keyframe at the very beginning, and location, rotation and scale. When you click that, a keyframe for all of the bones will appear in the timeline, that little yellow dot. We adjust the timeline. Now we can rotate a bone. We can do all sorts of things with the bones. We can rotate them or skew them or scale them. In this case we're rotating. You can change the angle by using the shift and drag option to rotate. So we've got we've gone through the process. We set the timeline. We move the bone and just rotated it a little bit so that they go off in a different direction. Rotate a few bones and drag. Now notice how the base bone, the first one we put in, affects all the bones. We go A, I, and we got another keyframe. I'm just moving the keyframe a little bit. The closer the keyframes, the faster the action. I'm just tipping the head over a little bit. Now I'm adding that action. Move the timeline a little bit. Now I'm going to move the head back a little bit and rotate. Now A, select all the bones. And then I for location, rotation, scale. And we've got a new head. I'm just going to slide the timeline header and have a look at my action. Now I'm going to do something sneaky here. I'm going to select two of the keyframes and then Shift plus D to copy them. Then slide them along. I'm going to do that a couple of times. So Shift plus D and then slide them along. And all I'm doing is repeating that movement that I created with those keyframes. So you can see now when I play it, I get different effects because the gap between the keyframes is much smaller. I'm going to move the keyframe, the time header on the timeline, and I'm going to try some more action by moving the bones. And rotate the bone. Go over the other direction a little bit, just try something different. A, select all the bones, then I to set the keyframe. I'm going to move it a small amount again. I'm going to select the base and go GZ. G for grab, Z for the axis, and I just moved it up a little bit. Now I'm going to go A. Well, first I'll do a little bit more movement on my armature, on bones. Okay, A to select all and I, and I've set those bones into that keyframe. I'm going to move the keyframe a little bit. Now I'm going to grab the base bone, the very first one I put in, and I'm going to move it down GZ, G for grab and Z for the Z axis. Now I'm going to just rotate my armature a little bit, move the bones to give it a bit more action. Okay, I lock those into a keyframe. Now I'm going to copy those last two keyframes. And just check my action, it's what I wanted to try and do. Now I'm going to copy those two keyframes, Shift D, and slide them along. Shift D again. I'm doing this a few times to have a look. Now I can animate my action, and now I have a jumping, frustrated sort of a look, appearance to my prism. Okay, just moving on, just adding some different actions, and you keep doing this until you've filled up. Now you'll notice, until I've filled up the timeline, but notice when I moved that top bone, I was looking down on it a little bit more, so it actually twisted a little bit. A and I. Looking at my action to see what I've got. Now the rotation, because we're looking at it sideways, is moving, just moving the object. But if we look down on the bones and do rotation as well, well, in this case we're scaling. S for scale. We'll scale it up. Add the keyframes. Right. Now you can make a big hammer head on it. Move it a little bit. Trying to think of what I want to do. I've got a new spot on the timeline. I'm just going to scale it back down. Now A, and then I'll just tune it a little bit more. Rotating the bones with R. A and I, set that set of bones into that keyframe. Check my action. I'm going to repeat these. Shift D, copy, Shift D, or select the two, Shift D, and then just move them along till I've got a section of them. Okay, a little bit quick. That'll be okay, depending on, we're just trying, or depending on what you're trying to do. What artistic view you have of what you're doing. This is, I've just gone to the view, switch the N on for the side menu, the letter N, and you can add keyframes in these places if you want to. Or if you want to, in this case, that bone I selected, I put the scale back to 1 so that it's back to the original size. You can add keyframes in these windows, just the same as when you push the letter I, and by pushing I on any one of those, you'll get a keyframe. But today we're just using letter I on the viewport, and that's giving us our keyframe options. Okay, moving on the timeline, I'm heading towards the 250 frames. Now here, where I'm looking down on the bones and rotate, you'll notice that they twist instead of bend the prism. So you can see that it depends on how you're looking at your object, what sort of action you get. There we go. I'll move on a little bit, twist him again, see what happens. I'll bend it back a little bit. I'll just straighten it up a little bit and just do the twisting effect again. There are other ways of straightening all the bones up, and I'll show you that in just a moment. In the meantime, we're looking down on the top. We select our bones and then look down on the top, and then we twist them, twisting them back another way. Okay, I'll check my action out. You can go to pose mode, select all the bones and clear transforms, and it will put it back into the original position that you started with. It gives you can reset them with another keyframe. As you can see, when you move it now, it goes back to its original position. We can then add a different style of action if you want to. I'm just thinking what to do to finish off my actions. AI location rotation scale. I'm doing another jump here. So GZ, lifting the base bone up. I like the jumps. You can get a really nice effect with them on this little project. You can start, once you start to animate your project, if you put eyes on it, then you've got a cartoon character. That's as simple as that. And the cartoon character can tell a story by its movement. I just scaled up a bit on this as well. AI location rotation scale. I'm going to jump and a scale all at once. Okay. GZ, G for grab, Z for the axis. As it comes down, the head will come up a little bit. The actual movements that you make when you jump. When you jump up, your legs push your body closer together, and as you fall, you spread out a bit more. I rescaled my head back to its number 1, AI and location rotation scale. Shift D and copy those 2 frames to get the jumping action. Slide them along, and that will be close enough to the end of my 250 frames. Oh, added a bit more. Okay, of course the spacebar switches the action, animates the timeline. You click the spacebar again to stop the action. And there you have it, an animated prism. The next part of the project is to give the prism some colour, and then we'll give it some particles.